What is up YouTube, and welcome to this Enola Holmes video. We will be discussing the movie, its ending and the cliffhanger ending that was left, and if there could actually be a sequel. There will be spoilers in this video for the movie, so be careful should you wish to, not be spoiled. So Enola Holmes is based on the book series of the same name by Nancy Springer. Of course, the Sherlock Holmes stories originate from those by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. The story focuses around Enola Holmes, who is the sister of Sherlock and Mycroft. She's searching for her mother, who is a criminally underused Helena Bonham Carter, who has just gone missing. Enola was born a lot later than Sherlock and Mycroft, and thus grew up without them, and was generally on her own, tutored by her mother in the ways of things which are not becoming of a lady. Enola is alone spelled backwards, and the theme of going outside your comfort zone and not being alone and trusting others threads throughout the movie. The movie also focuses around voter suffrage, most notably the 1884 Reform Bill, which isn't actually explored in the movie, and the fact that the Viscount's deciding vote was so important on this bill, and it's a matter of life and death, you wonder why they didn't. The Reform Bill was immensely important. In Britain, each county or town is divided up into constituencies, and each one of these has one MP. However, this was not always the case, and major cities may not have had a Member of Parliament at all, which is the British government. However, a small, tiny village may have had one, and, this basically put the modern way into law. It also extended the number of people who could vote, and it was very, very difficult to vote back then if you were just some lad working at a factory. However, funny enough, this bill only meant that 40% of men could vote, and, no women could vote whatsoever. The bill in the movie refers to sweeping changes and explains why the grandmother wanted this status quo. With these bills, it would allow more people to vote, and more chance for the power of those rich and privileged to wane, pretty much to how it is today. Even House of Lords, the focal point of the latter third, simply scrutinises the bills today, and they're expected to pass the laws that go through them from the lower house, which is the House of Commons. Even after this, women could not vote equally to men until 1928. Some were allowed in 1918, but it wasn't until 1928 the full range of women were allowed to vote. We start with Enola being taught by her mother about things she would never learn as a lady, such as jiu-jitsu and other non-traditional things for a girl to learn in Victorian England. This essentially sets her mother up as someone who rejects Victorian society and explains why she was so involved with violent plots for women's suffrage, which is voting rights. Enola was abandoned by her two brothers, and as her mother goes missing, she's essentially not even recognised by her own flesh and blood. Only Sherlock was able to recognise her when she speaks. The portrayal of Mycroft I didn't like. The actor seemed so irrational, and it went naught to Nicolas Cage very quickly. The character seems to only care about his stature in society, and that theme mirrors his mother as he fights to maintain the status quo and kind of play up to how society wants him to be and how he's viewed in society, whereas his mother is fighting to change things. Sherlock also doesn't care about, anything. He has no need for politics as, he's a man of privilege in Victorian England. This is interesting because his mother's friend points out later in the movie that he's ignoring it because, it doesn't affect him either way. Enola is to be sent off to finishing school by Mycroft, but she has another idea about that and escapes to London. She wants to go and find her mother who, she thinks has left a series of clues. On the train, she meets a guy called Tewkesbury, who is being roughed up by an assassin later on their train journey, and they manage to help him escape, and they jump off the train together. We learn that his grandmother and uncle want him to join the army, and, he is actually a liberal who has a vote due to his father being killed, and he is in the House of Lords. He wants to vote in the Reform Bill, and he wants to vote in favour it in the House of Lords, the upper chamber of the British legislature. The assassin had other ideas, and they part ways in London as Enola goes on to find her mother, only to find bombs and other ghastly items, and it seems the women's suffrage movement are operating in the shadows and willing to take violent acts to get the vote. This is very accurate, as suffragettes would later take measures such as hunger strikes and even getting trampled under the King's horse at the 1913 Epsom Derby. Over the course of the movie, Enola starts to realise that finding her mother is not really the most important thing. And what she found so far, she doesn't seem to like, and she needs to help Tewkesbury. She goes to the Tewkesbury estate dressed as a widower and meets Lestrand of Scotland Yard and the rest of the Tewkesburys. And instantly she's looked down by everyone simply because not only is she 16, but she is just a woman, which is not seen as the done thing, as a private investigator is not the career for a lady in a society. She goes to investigate Tewkesbury's treehouse as she learns that he likes to spend all of his time outside, and finds plans, but these were fake as he knew the killers would go looking for him, as he suspected some foul play, as a tree that almost fell on his head was quite clearly cut to do so on purpose. The Dowager had wanted to kill the Viscount, as she knew that he would vote just like his father in support of the Reform Bill. She manages to find the Viscount, however, Mycroft has tracked her down and takes her to the finishing school, as he intended for her, but Tewkesbury goes out of his way to try and break her out. She deduces that the uncle is the one behind the murderous plot, and they go to confront him as he would be the one who would get the estate after both the father and the son have died. They go to only to be confronted by the hired assassin and the Dowager, who shoots Tewkesbury, but he survives as he managed to grab a bit of armour and put it as a bulletproof vest. Tewkesbury goes on to survive, and Sherlock worked all of this out, and Tewkesbury goes to vote, and all is well, until 1928 when women can vote. Sherlock knew that the uncle was not in the country at the time of the Viscount's father's murder, as he was in the Afghan War, as shown by his medal in the photo. This was the first Afghan War, and it's a very interesting period of history if you wanted to check that out. Sherlock has tried to get Enola back as he uses the same plot Enola did to try and find her mother by leaving messages in notable periodicals. And well, she reads right through this, because why would her mother actually say, "Meet me at the Royal Institute," a notably bereft organisation of women? And she instantly knew that it would not be her mother, and she leaves the toy that she loved as a child behind as a kind of gotcha moment there. Poor old Sherlock was outsmarted twice. She finally meets her mother, who explains why she left. She wanted to create a world for Enola worth living, a world where she isn't just arm candy for men. Her mother says she needs to make noise to be heard, and she's certainly done that, and angered one brother while getting the respect of another. The movie is left open as Enola is now free to do what she wants and follow her heart's desires. I expect her mother is continuing the fight for suffrage, which is a long way off. This was the first book in the series, and throughout the series she tries to dodge her brothers and try and not become a lady of society, and she goes on to solve missing persons cases. I don't think this is the last we've seen of the Viscount either, as she said to him that, well, this isn't the last you've seen of me, pretty much there. I thought the movie was very average, and sadly Millie didn't seem to be able to carry the whole movie, but I admit I'm far off the age mark as it is a young adult adaptation. But I did love Henry Cavill's take on Sherlock, and I hated the overacting of the actor who played Mycroft. I felt Enola being infatuated with Tewkesbury was not good, and the fact that she seemingly just looked after him as she clearly fancied him kind of undoes the great feminist message that was throughout the movie. But let me know what you think down in the comments down below, and please do like the video if you enjoyed it, and do subscribe with notifications on if you want more from us, and I'll see you soon, and goodbye.